Hey there everyone, Mazarok here, and today I want to go over Blood Death Knight frequently asked questions, things that I've seen in my YouTube comments, in the Discord link down below. If you have any questions like that, great place to ask, but these are questions that I'm going to pull from all of those places. So before we get in, please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you everyone for all of the support so far. I'm flabbergasted by just the entire amount of positive stuff that everyone has been in the community, in the YouTube community, in the Discord, everything. Just thank you so much. There is a key review link down below if you are a tank that feel like you would like some coaching, or you'd like me to review a VOD of your of one of your Mythic Plus runs. I would love to go over it, as well as all of my Twitch link and everything is down below there as well. If there's any weak auras or any LVI profiles that you would like, the Discord link down below has it as well. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this video is I feel like I wasn't as comprehensive as I would like to be, or that I usually am in my Blood Death Knight guides earlier in the season, and there's some synergies and stuff that I didn't go as in depth on that I feel that now warrants it, right? Number one, Tombstone over Heartbreaker. So once you get your 4-piece, why choose Tombstone over Heartbreaker? Well, the main reason why is Tombstone consumes 4 Bone Shield stacks and reduces up to 5, depending on how many you have, and it should always be 5 when you use Tombstone, to reduce the cooldown of Dancing Rune Weapon by 25 seconds. So it's 5 seconds per Bone Shield stack dropped, and that's if you're running the Crimson Rune Weapon Legendary, which with the 4-piece and everything you should be. So that's why you choose Tombstone, is for Dancing Rune Weapon uptime and CDR, because just being able to reduce the cooldown of it by 25 seconds is pretty huge. When to pop Tombstone? That's the next one, because a lot of people get a little confused on that one. Tombstone should almost never be pressed unless you absolutely require a 30% absorb shield defensive to live. Should only ever be pressed when Dancing Rune Weapon is on cooldown. The entire purpose of taking the talent is to reduce the cooldown of Dancing Rune Weapon. Everything else is just kind of a bonus. But the main purpose for this is quite literally to reduce the cooldown of Dancing Rune Weapon. So when do you use Tombstone? Well, when it's on cooldown, but to me it also depends on what covenant you are, which gets in the next question. What covenant should I play for Blood DK? General consensus is Necrolord for raid, Kyrian for keys. You can play whatever covenant you want, have fun, doesn't matter, they're all viable. Whether they're going to be optimal or not is the question, but they're all viable. You can play any covenant you want and still get your KSM and still have fun. If you want to be a Venthier, Blood DK, go for it. Understand you're leaving stuff on the table, but you're not playing something that's completely dumb and does absolutely nothing, right? You're going to lose out on damage or survivability or something, but you're not going to literally be a useless spec. Now, if you're trying to play some of these unoptimal covenants in high-end keys, like whatever, like a 20 plus or whatever, yeah, you're going to start losing a lot of value on that. But if you're just tanking keys for fun with your group and you want to play Venthier because aesthetically that's what makes you happy, honestly, it's not going to matter in your +5 or +10. It's really not. So that's one thing to say there. But when to pop Tombstone does matter based on your covenant, at least with the way that I play. So when you're playing Necrolord in raid, when Dancing Weapon is on cooldown and Slappy Hands is active. So this might be a little bit quicker in your rotation because there's a good chance you're pairing these two together for a lot more damage. So what I will do is I will pop Dancing Rune Weapon, Slappy Hands, hit a Heart Strike or 2 just to extend Dancing Rune Weapon, and then immediately hit Tombstone. That way, your Slappy Hands, your Abomination Lid, will recharge your Bone Shield stacks without you actually having to do anything. Like, it's just a natural thing. Instead of you having to waste the global and the 2 runes on Marrow Rend to get those Bone Shield stacks back. So that's when I do it. In keys on Kyrian, this is a lot more flexible. I will use it obviously when Dancing Rune Weapon is on cooldown, but at the same time, I don't want to be wasting the global the 2 globals, depending, because I like to keep my Bone Shield stacks above 5 on Tombstone than Marrow Ren. So if my Dancing Rune Weapon is fading on a pack and is kind of starting to go down, and I know I'm not going to have it upkept, then I want to get that cooldown reduced as fast as possible. I'll hit Tombstone, and then I'll hit my Marrow Ren to get myself back up to those 5-ish stacks that I like to be at. That's one thing to stop and consider, is when kind of that's going on. But if I notice that I have plenty of rune generation going on, I have 15 seconds of Dancing Rune Weapon, things are going really good, and I'm not in my main, Heart Strike spam to be able to get my 40 stacks, I have my stacks, that's when I'll hit Tombstone to kind of just get that ball rolling, and I don't have to worry about the uptime and things like that. So it's fairly flexible on when you do it. Just, again, the main caveat here is use it when Dancing Rune Weapon is on cooldown. Blood Tap or Relish in Blood. Now, this has been a more recent conversation. So, Blood Tap, what it does is it gives you a free rune. 1 minute cooldown, 2 charges. It gives you a free rune upon using it. I still prefer Blood Tap. Now, some of the best Blood Death Knights in the world currently are moving away from Blood Tap to either Relish or... I don't even think anybody's using Foul Bulwark, but I have heard rumors of it. So, whatever. So a lot of people are using Relish there. But those are also people who have mastered the spec, mastered the class, and just quite literally know what their next 10 globals are without having to worry about it, and they know what incoming damage is coming, and they've mastered a lot of things, and are timing super high in keys and all this stuff. Where Blood Tap is probably better for somebody learning the 4-piece rotation and everything. It gives you 2 free runes to extend your Heart Strike, extend your Dancing Rune Weapon through Heart Striking, and it will cover up any mistakes in your rotation. So for anybody that's, hasn't quite mastered their class yet, or mastered the spec, I would suggest Blood Tap over Relish, especially once you get your 4-piece. Like, especially so, because there is a difference between those two things. One thing to remember with Blood Tap is when you use Tombstone, it will actually reduce the cooldown of Blood Tap by 10 seconds. So another thing to think about when bringing in back into the Tombstone conversation. Now, this is very high optimization. If you don't have both or one of your Blood Taps on cooldown, you're not going to lose out on the end of the world if you need to hit a Blood Tap before your Tombstone. But if you can try and work it into your rotation, have Tombstone, have Blood Tap, or at least one cooldown, at least one use of it on cooldown by the time you hit Tombstone. Just a little thing, but I mean, not the end of the world. It's just something to think. And then lastly, when do I start using Purgatory? I am a big fan of Bone Storm. You can use Red Thirst, you can use Bone Storm for AoE scenarios, or you can use Purgatory, which is your 4-minute cheat death. The answer to this question will differ from player to player. Plain and simple. There are some people in this game that will go into a 25 and breeze through it, and they're like, "Yep, no, this is easy. I got this. I can run Bone Storm, and I don't need a cheat death. It doesn't matter. I'm fine." And then there are some people that go into a 5, and they're so nervous that their hands are sweaty and they don't play very well. This is your own discretion. When that differs is up to you, the player. When do you feel comfortable enough that you don't need Purgatory and that you'd like to experiment more with Red Thirst or Bone Storm? For example, for me, so here on the video, I actually just prodded my Purgatory. On Jailer, I use Purgatory all the time. It's quite literally, no, it's not even a question, because anything can happen. You can rip threat from the other tank and just get smacked for 250, 300k. There's so many things that can happen, but I can also walk into a +20 and use Bone Storm because that's what I prefer, but also not worry about me dying either. That's just the comfort level that I am with the spec itself and how I play. Now, once I start getting to higher keys, right now the most I've done is 22 this season. That's more due to time constraints with people and stuff like that, and we just haven't really been pushing at all this season. So that's something that I'd like to get into more. But once I start getting into 23s, 24s, 25s, I'm going to make that switch back over to Purgatory because things can kill me a lot quicker and a lot harder. So that is something that you need to evaluate yourself. Okay, there's no just run Purgatory and just shut up about it. No, not at all. Like, there's actually good talents on that row. Bone Storm is a lot of fun. Red Thirst and single target can be, is a very good defensive. And if you're good at what you do, you don't necessarily need, you don't need the cheat death on, most heroic fights. Skolex would be one that I might use it on. Jailer's definitely one I'd use it on. But if you're progging Mythic, these FAQs, you already know most of these things. This type of things are people that are picking up the spec, picking up the class, and things like that. But those are the most common questions that I get all the time, and I do have to speak about on and on and on. Not that I'll answer anybody's questions. It doesn't matter. If someone hasn't watched this video and they ask me one of these questions, I'll answer them. I absolutely will. Anybody that needs help and comes out and reaches out for help, in my opinion, should get it, because asking for help is not easy in this world. It's very easy to get made fun of for reaching out, but if a person asks for help, you help them, right? Let's be decent human beings here. So that are my frequently asked questions that I see the most. Hopefully I went into a little bit more in depth than some of the stuff that you might have missed in the guides. Oh, when to pop Shackle. I missed that one. So Kieran, sorry, let's get into this one. When to pop Shackle. So the way that I use it in keys, and I've been using it very effectively in keys, in my opinion, to the point, I did 13k DPS in Sanguine Depths run. I know that's not MDI level DPS or anything like that, and people have done more. But I play fairly defensively as well and run more defensive trinkets. So for me, 13k is pretty good. I'm happy with it. Most just is what it is. But the way that Shackle works, so you go into a poll, you set up Blood Boil, Heart Strikes, Death and Decay is what you need to do, your Dancing Rune weapon. Make sure you have everything up. Then you Heart Strike spam until you have no runes left, or almost no runes left. And then you hit Shackle on whatever target, preferably your biggest one, and then you Heart Strike from there. Because what's going to happen, every time Shackle then moves to a new target through Heart Strike, you gain a free rune. So you're going to use all of your runes, and then you're going to Heart Strike, gaining 6 more runes, and then you can Heart Strike another 6 more times, easily hitting Heart Strike 16 to 18 times in a pack. Immediately quickly gaining your 40 stack of strength that you get from your 4-piece, 2-piece, 4-piece, one of the two. I think it's 4-piece. Whatever. Your tier bonus. Your tier bonus strength. Quickly gaining that in one easy pull, and then you're able to move along, and through that you have 16 to 18 death strikes that are increasing the duration of your Dancing Rune weapon by a lot. So, for example, there was a Sanguine Depths run where I had a 94% effective uptime on Dancing Rune weapon, and in the whole dungeon, I think it was like 91. We didn't stop. I mean, quite literally, we did not stop. And I also got really lucky where I had like 15 seconds of Dancing Rune weapon left on it by the time that the pull was ending. So traveling from pole to pole, it was technically up, so it was pretty good. But that was also quite an exceptional run where I just got really lucky with a lot of parries, and things just went, we were just go, go, go. But that's not the norm. Usually it's, 65 to 80% uptime, depending on the dungeon and things like that. But that's how you keep a much longer uptime on a Dancing Rune weapon, is by not using Shackle on pull, but using it when you have little to no runes left, so that way you can pop it and then blow it all. Now this is going to change the lower key that you get, because things die a lot quicker, right? If you got 2 or 3 people pumping 22k overall in your plus 15, you're going to want to pop Shackle a little bit earlier, just so you can actually use it, because things are going to die super quick. But I mean, if the pack is normally lasting 30 to 45 seconds, you're going to end up using it about 6 to 7 seconds into a pull. Once you've, Death and Decayed, Blood Boiled, Dancing Rune weapon. Those are not the correct order. I'm just saying that I'm just letting you know what abilities are being used on an opener for me. So that's one thing to stop and think about. But then that's going to take a couple of seconds, and then you Heart Strike, a couple more seconds, and then boom, especially with the amount of haste that you have going on right now, your globals are quite literally very fast. So that's something to stop and think about and kind of work in. But that's when I pop Shackle. So those are my frequently asked questions. Sorry about the last one right at the end there. I do hope that this has helped you. And if you have any more questions, comment section down below, community Discord down below. I would absolutely love to. I'll answer anything you got, man. Let's go. Happy tanking. Blood DK has been crazy fun, and I think it's going to continue to be crazy fun all expansion long. As Season 4, as we're going into Season 4, I'm really interested in seeing what Blood DK can do in Season 4, and the new dungeons, well, new old dungeons, they're going to be really, really fun. So, thank you very much for your time. Happy tanking.